happy afternoon. I hope you're having a great week so far. If you don't know, thanks for tuning in, first of all. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Blackened Feathers here on Instagram and YouTube. My first name's Alicia. I am a super art nerd, creepy enthusiast. I like botanicals and taxidermy and all things witchy and dark theology. But if you're super Christian, you can watch this channel too, because I know a lot of people that are, and I happen to work from some super Christians. So welcome to my channel. My content is going to tend to delve into more of like creepy stuff, witchcraft. I really like bugs, I hope that you will stay tuned. Today I want to talk a little bit about witchcraft and heeding the call to practice Wicca or paganism, depending on what you're into. I myself am a pagan, and I worship the goddess, the Morrigan, specifically. I have prayed to several deities. I've prayed to Odin. I've prayed to Freya. I think you're supposed to say Freyja, but I could be saying that wrong. Those are both in the Norse pantheon of gods. Zeus is similar, but not the same in the Greek. But they're both like the bringers of thunder, and they're both like the main male god. So they have that in common. But as far as the Morrigan's concerned, she is and was the mother goddess in Ireland in the Druid period, pre-Christian Ireland, UK, and she is considered, and someone's gonna rip me a new one if I get this wrong, but I believe she's considered part of the Sidhe, part of the fairy clan. But she is like a massive goddess, and she is where we get this symbol from that people do with their hands. It's actually supposed to be like mother made in chrome for the fingers, and this is supposed to be like the triple goddess symbol. It's also in other cultures, but it had a reference way back. We get the icon imagery of the Virgin Mary from the Morrigan. There's a great book called The Dark Goddess. I will see if I have it sitting around. If not, I will post a link below so that you can find it. I know the author's name is Stephanie. I can't think of her last name right now. It starts with a W, I believe. But it's just a really great read. It's like that thick, and it will keep you busy. But as far as the reason I am a witch and why I first delved into paganism, from the time I was very small, I felt the most at home in the woods. So that may be an issue with you. You may find yourself being more drawn to natural things. I find that things such as computers, TVs, electronics, street lamps will sometimes be effective when I'm around, and it's not so much something like out of a sci-fi movie as I think it's just the energy glitch. Like there's just some kind of, my energy doesn't flow with electricity, and I don't know how to explain that, but I've noticed other people feel the same way. I think my mom has that problem. I know of at least one other person that has had the street lamps just turn out when they were walking, and it was weird because it happens in succession. It's not like, oh well, it's 7 o'clock, all the lights are going out, you know. Let's see what else. Just feeling very in tune with nature. I've always felt God, or the concept of God or goddess, as being outside. Something I'm connected to from being in the ocean or a river or the deep woods, maybe a field even. I don't feel at home in a city in a high rise. I've lived in one. I've lived in rather in several downtown city areas, major cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago. I don't feel at home in a downtown city. I really feel more at home in the field, in the woods, that sort of thing. The beach, I don't, so that may be true for you as well. I also feel pain from things. It's like from the time I was a small child, like I was always in tune with animals, and not so much like Dr. Dolittle or something silly. But I do believe that animals can talk to you, just not in the same way that I'm talking to you right now, or that you would have a conversation with another human being. More in a, a vibrational sense. Like, you can feel their energy they're emitting, and there are chemicals and there are hormones that we all have running through our systems at any given time, doing various things. And I think that those shifts in your physiological system can be transmitted. And because humans conduct electricity, because we're mostly water, to me it makes sense that that would be probably the most plausible explanation without me having a degree in science. That's how you could understand them, that they're transmitting some type of form of energy that you're picking up on. That's the best way I can make sense of it. But I've always felt animals had a way to communicate. Very rarely trees, but I have had a feeling when I was with certain things that they had an energy. Now, if you believe in fairies, maybe it's the she, maybe it's the fae that are actually what I'm picking up on. It depends on what your beliefs are. But I've definitely felt something sentient from a tree before, especially older trees, big trees, the type that live in backyard type of trees, or in the middle of like a forest, the really massive ones that no one cuts down, that are like 100 or 200 years old. And it's not like they're saying to me like, hey, go get me a sandwich. It's just kind of like a, oh, hello there kind of thing. Like, I notice it's there. And that it has its own vibrational projection per se. So, I mean, as far as knowing whether you're a natural born witch, it seems to me like people who are more naturally in tune with things, people who feel deep down like they can't tune out nature. Maybe you found an animal in need and others were like, oh, it's fine, just leave it. And you were like, no, I have to help this animal. It needs my help, you know? People that are in tune in that way. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, a sense of knowing, a natural sense of knowing things. I seem to think is a common strand, common thread with people who are like witchy or slightly other, I guess. It's not to say that people who aren't Christian or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist don't have that. It's just that in other religions, it's not looked upon favorably. Like, mediumship is okay in witchcraft and other faiths that are a little more, a little less mainstream. But as far as, you know, Christianity is concerned, that's considered witchcraft. And, you know, witchcraft is an offense, I believe, in the Bible that could get you stoned. And I just simply don't agree with that. So that was already kind of a no-go for me. For others, that's fine, but not for me. So, yeah, I mean, if you're feeling any of those various things, then it's possible you're a natural born witch. There's a lot of stuff you can read up on. I myself am an eclectic witch, solitary eclectic witch, which means that I am like my own coven. I like to research and do things by myself. I don't really like to be part of a coven. I have been before, but it wasn't so much a coven as like a witchy church, if that makes sense. Like, they did ceremonies and masses and whatnot. But I don't know. I like to study at my own pace, and I don't like the idea of organized religion in general. I like just doing my own thing. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So, you know, if you find yourself feeling like maybe Christianity isn't for you, or whatever you were raised in, just understand if you're like a minor and you still live with your parents, you have to be really careful about that sort of thing. But, you know, reading never killed anybody. So, I mean, as far as I know. You know, I would say go to your local library, read up on paganism, read up on Wicca. Wicca's only been around for less than 100 years as a technical faith. You know, witchcraft has been around for centuries, but the actual like concept of Wicca as its own faith is not that old. So, you know, you can read up on that. It just depends on what you're into. Most of the witchcraft that I practice is focused on your mental prowess and visualization and intent. And these are all things that you can hone by meditation, for instance. So I would say research meditation, because that'll help you just in general. I mean, even if you're not a witch or studying this path and you're just watching this video because you're interested, that's another thing you can do. So studying up on Wicca, studying up on paganism, the various pantheons of gods, like the Norse, the Nordic, You could study up on the Greek or Roman pantheons as well, if just out of curiosity. I think it's good to know who the gods are. There are literally thousands of gods in the Hindu faith, but it doesn't hurt to read up on some of the main ones, like Kali or Ganesh, the bringer of chaos and death and destruction, and bringer of new life. Like, she's great. She's like a dark goddess. If you need like someone to empower you and you're a woman, she's a great one, other than the Morgan. And Ganesh is great for change, like major change in your life. He'll bring you through it. He's also a Hindu god. He's the one with the elephant head. So I would advise just studying up on the different pantheons of gods and goddesses, and just see who speaks to you. You know, you can always do a visualization with a candle and just kind of tune out in a semi-meditative state. Just ask, like, who wants to help me? Like, who is, you know, and of course do your bubble of protection and do your white pillar of light. And you know, these are all things, if you look up meditation here on YouTube, that like protective, you need to know the basics. And I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you basically need to protect yourself if you're going to do witchcraft, you're going to meditate, any of it, because your soul is in your body, but you have like your, it's hard to explain, you have like your ether, you're vulnerable. I'll sum it up and say you're vulnerable before I confuse anybody. So you're vulnerable when you're in that state, and you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So I would say study up on protective, like meditation. And when you meditate, if you listen to a meditation video, they'll actually say to you, like, don't forget to do your pillar of white light or surround yourself with white light. And that's the whole thing. It's a protective thing. And quickly, before I close this out, I will say that when I'm scared or when I need to do something quickly, I usually just do a protective bubble of color. Right now it's teal. I'm having a teal moment, as you can see, from my hair, but you can do white, you can do gold, you can do silver. I've done one in my head where it was kind of like a bubble with the rainbow effect from like an oil spill in the street, or like, you know, just something that you can really visualize easily, because we all know what that looks like. And that will keep you safe from whatever kind of funkiness is floating around in the ether at the moment you're doing your meditation and you're kind of tuned out. Okay, so I'm going to close this out because I'm over 12 minutes now, and I know you people have things to do. So if you have any questions about witchcraft or paganism or, you know, that sort of thing in general, mediumship, please feel free to leave questions and comments below. Again, my name on here is Black and Feathers, and my name is Alicia, and I hope to hear from you, and I hope you got something out of this. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.